I'm worried about our bone density. Bones break. It's a part of life. Kids break bones often because they're rambunctious daredevils with underdeveloped prefrontal cortexes. It's adorable. But they also break bones because their bones just aren't that strong yet, with peak bone density typically occurring in our 20s. Now, I don't know about you, but my 20s are in the rear view, and yours might be too. So, why are we even talking about this? Well, three reasons. One, some of you may have kids or nieces, nephews who haven't yet reached their peak bone density. So you may want to impart some wisdom to them if they'll listen. Two, I'm actually worried about our bone density more generally for reasons I'll explain. And three, there is actually something we can do about it. And no, you don't have to relive the 90s and do your body good by throwing down a glass of milk at every meal. Before we get to all that, however, let's make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to our skeletons. Um, these ones that hold up our skin and muscles, not whatever you might have hiding in your closet. Bones, as you're likely aware, are made of minerals, in particular calcium. But bones, much like everything else in our bodies, from our hair to skin, muscle, are always changing. Our bones are constantly being remodeled in response to everything that's happening to and in our bodies. And this is a good thing for a variety of reasons. For instance, we have a backup supply of calcium if we ever need it. Calcium not only helps build our bones, but also helps our muscles contract and relax. That's especially important because our heart is a muscle and it must contract and relax to keep us staying alive. Of course, you don't necessarily want to be taking calcium from your bones to make sure your muscles keep working. That would be a little like tearing down your walls to get wood to make your furniture. Like, it's possible, but not ideal for reasons that I think you can put together. But the other good thing about bones constantly remodeling and changing is that they can adapt based on what you need them for. To go back to our house analogy, if our bones couldn't change, if we couldn't remodel, we could never get additional bedrooms, storage space, or that second bathroom. Because in this analogy, you also can't buy a new skeleton or house, whatever. Remodeling is the only choice. While I wish I could tell you that there was an exercise you could do to add an additional bathroom and outdoor space to your home, there sadly isn't. I definitely would have done it. But there are ways to remodel your bones to make them stronger and more resilient, which is almost as good. But we're not quite done with the physiology lesson. No discussion of bones would be complete without osteoclasts and osteoblasts. Very basically, osteoclasts tear down or reabsorb bone material, and osteoblasts build or deposit bone material. I remember this because of the B in osteoblasts, B for build. You have both, and they are working constantly and simultaneously, and all without pay. What troopers? So, who cares? Well, we should all care. Breaking a bone is not fun, but to wildly generalize, it's mostly an inconvenience these days until it isn't. And then it can be really, really bad. How bad? The data vary, but the 1 year mortality rate for hip fractures in people over 65 is roughly a third. That means that 1 in 3 people who break a hip over the age of 65 will be dead within a year. Yikes. That's bad news. But it's not the only bad news. The other bad news is that bone density appears to be declining in younger generations. We don't have a perfect picture of this, but it seems that my fellow millennials, along with Gen Z and Gen Alpha, probably have lower bone density than baby boomers at the same age. It's probably all that damn avocado toast. Not really. That means that in those younger generations, our peak bone density was probably or will be lower on average than the peak bone density of older generations. It's not great. And anecdotally, I've noticed this in the people around me who are roughly my age. One of my clients told me that she broke her foot twice recently. Another friend fractured his tibia during a recent marathon, and another friend broke an ankle after tripping. Now, it's important to state that anecdotes are not data. But again, there are studies suggesting that peak bone density has in fact been declining. And even if our bone density hasn't decreased, at the individual level, we still want to have strong bones and avoid falling to reduce the odds of sustaining any bone fractures, especially in the hip. So, why has our bone density decreased, and is there anything we can do? There are probably a variety of factors, but likely the biggest reason is the reduction of physical activity over the last several decades. We walk less, we carry less, and we sit and stare at screens way more. Bones respond to physical stress placed upon them. When you run, jump, lift, your bones are twisting, bending, and experiencing compressive forces. That stimulates our osteoblasts to lay down more bone material and make our bones stronger. So, with that in mind, I encourage you to think about ways to put more load on your bones, physical stress. Walk more, carry things, jump if you're able to do so safely, and try to reduce the time you spend unloaded, which of course includes sitting, literally taking a load off, but also includes activities that are otherwise really good for us, like cycling and swimming. Or, going to space. Space is terrible for your bones, so maybe skip that one if you're worried about bone density. If you found this helpful or you learned something new or found it alarming, please do me a favor and share it with a friend or family member. We should all be aware of our bone health, and sharing this really helps me grow this community. Thank you.